All right. Hey everyone, my name is Aiden. I'm one of the organizers here at the Deschutes Tech Guild. At Brian's behest, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. He will not let me hear the end of this if I do not get this thing moving. So welcome everybody. We are the Deschutes Tech Guild. There's 4 organizers here. I am up here, but the rest of us are in the back. They're going to raise their hands. Cody might have been the only person you didn't see earlier. We're here to answer any questions or talk shop or anything that you need. Bathrooms are there, and like Brian mentioned, if you need anything, please ask us. Do not go wander around. These are actual offices. People are working. That thing that they have to do where they talk to the chatbot and it generates stuff, you know, the whole thing. Otherwise, we're going to get started here in just a minute. Brian's passing out papers, or maybe he's done, it looks like. I don't know what he's giving out. This was not sanctioned by us, so whatever you read, that was all Brian. Otherwise, we are sponsored by a few different cool companies. I don't have any slides put together tonight. We're a one laptop, one connection kind of show right now. Sneak is one of our sponsors. They're free for open source. Go check them out. I use them personally on my repositories. I've got 40 stars on one of mine, so I'm kind of hot shit, if you know, on GitHub. Totally cool. Go check it out. If you are running an organization, definitely use it. Security is something that we just kind of vibe through nowadays, but they'll keep you honest. Otherwise, our other sponsor is Craft CMS. If you are putting together like a marketing site or you're launching a B2B SaaS and you need a site, yeah, I got you. Definitely check out Craft CMS, get something nice, get some SEO, good to go. Otherwise, we are hosted by Embark here. Not officially one of our sponsors, but we love being here. It's nice. You guys have comfy chairs, so please keep this place nice. Please pick up your trash. We've got a trash can there. There's other trash cans downstairs. If they're really full, then please come find one of us. We'll make Cody go take out the trash. He was here last. So otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pass it off to Brian. What?
We can do who's hiring, who's looking for
Is anybody actually hiring anymore? Anybody hiring? Raise your hand.
Who's looking for work?
Yeah, that might be a better question. Cool.
I still like
Yeah, I guess if you maybe are thinking of hiring, go talk to those people. But otherwise, join our Discord too. We will be putting that up at the end. However, if you're not part of it, go hunt down an organizer. We'll give you a QR code to scan, and you can join the Discord. Get in there. What's up?
And then I wanted to say that June, Aiden is speaking.
Oh yeah, I will be giving a talk on some JavaScript framework stuff. I put myself in there as a placeholder and nobody jumped in to give a June talk, so now I am officially scheduled for it. So yeah, I'll be giving a talk about JavaScript. If that makes you vomit, don't worry, I hate JavaScript too, but unfortunately it's something that we have to work with in web development. So enough about me. I'm going to hand it off to Brian. He's one of my coworkers. He's super smart. Please give him your attention and your time. He talks about really cool stuff. So hand it off to him.
All right, thanks. All right, thanks. Okay, thanks everyone. So I'm not going to use a mic. I'm just going to project. So if I'm too quiet in the back, let me know. All right, you got me? You hear me? Okay. Okay, and I did pass out a handout. It doesn't matter at all. You don't have to look at it. You know, recycle it afterwards. But if like after, if there's something you want to look at, or you want to look at some of the details, it's on there. But it doesn't really matter. Okay, so yeah, thanks to the organizers, Augie, Aiden, Cody, and Brian. See, I got it. And thanks everyone for coming. Okay, so just a little second about like what's the point of this talk, or why I'm giving it. Not the point of it, but why I'm giving it. So I volunteered, I raised my hand because, well, for 2 reasons. I think the topic is kind of cool, and I thought this group would be interested in some of the themes. And also it was a good way to set myself a deadline to get stuff on paper. And so I've got a book project that's going very slowly. Been working on it since the pandemic. But this is material that's part of one of the chapters. And so this is a good way to just get myself a deadline, gotta have stuff on paper, I gotta stand up in front of people, so I better have something coherent to say. So the book's called, it doesn't matter, the book's called Thought Knots. It's not gonna come out anytime soon. I'm not trying to sell anything. It may never come out. It may never be a thing, but I'm working on it slowly on the side, but I've got a day job and lots of commitments, so we'll see. And I also think, like, are we gonna write books anymore in this new age of chatbots and AGIs on the way? I don't know, it feels a bit quaint, but I'm gonna still do it. I like the process of writing, so I'm gonna keep hammering away at it. And it's basically a collection of puzzles and paradoxes that I like. That's the main theme, but they're mostly centered around like more formal things like computer science, math, logic, and philosophy, some linguistics, sort of in that vicinity. And this is one of them. So somewhere in the cloud is your digital twin, or we can imagine that. Okay, let's try to motivate that idea. So just think about I know you guys have all thought about this to some extent, like all the data that's out there about you in the cloud or in some database somewhere, about all your messages, your commits, your ride shares, your DoorDash orders, your Spotify playlists. Oh no, we can keep going on and on and on, right? It's just like so much data is out there, your sleep data, your location pings, transcripts from Fireflies, transcripts of all your meetings, all your Slack messages, whatever. Right, tons of data. What else? What am I missing? I'm missing tons of things, but yeah.
Probably social media.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was I should say your likes and your reposts and your TikToks and what?
Any messages, emails.
Yeah, any messages, emails, everything, right?
Search history.
All your chat history with Claude and everything. And stuff going back to like the 90s, right? Or some of you guys maybe weren't alive in the 90s, but back to like when you first started doing this stuff. Okay, so there's all this data, right? And of course, like there's a bunch of data, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But we can imagine that, given that we have all this data, we could build a model of you, a simulation of you, that is really accurate at, say you give the twin a scenario, and it makes a choice in the scenario. I mean, it could be something stupid like, does it like this post or not, right? And given this deep data we have about you, the twin will usually do the same thing that you would do. Okay, so that's the idea of a digital twin, right? We kind of know this. And it's important, it's not just like a summary, but it's like a behavioral simulation. We're imagining something where we can give this thing a description of a scenario, or we can give it some input about, here's the situation, what would Brian do in this situation? Or here's the situation, here's these two choices or multiple choices, what would Brian do? And it outputs, high probability Brian would do this. That's the idea. And it could, it's counterfactuals, like, if this was the case, what would Brian do? Novel situations, like situations that I've never faced before, right? It's some posts, right? Some posts I've never seen before. It's not like looking at like what I've done in the past and then doing the same thing. It's generalizing. I know you guys. I think you guys know what I'm getting at, but okay. So the idea is it matches you with striking accuracy. Okay, so now, do you guys think that this is possible? Do you think such a thing is? I mean, in some form or in some like smaller forms, this exists already, right? But like, do you guys? So like, I'm just wondering like, what do you guys think about like how close are we to a full digital twin, or like where are we at on this spectrum? Or like, does anybody have an opinion about this, where we're at? Yeah.
I mean, I think, we all get the assumption, but the assumption is that we're all chronically online. It probably breaks down if you're, a Luddite.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about like me.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I just thought that was important because
Yes.
it also frames the kind of scenarios you can give it, which are inherently digital. But
Right.
it's all kind of obvious stuff.
That's right. Yeah. So that's right. But I'm thinking that even though like the data is trained on is like in some sense like these digital choices we've made, those sorts of things can generalize to non-digital choices, right? You can be like you can make some mapping from made this choice in this situation, reposted this thing, or had a choice between buying this or that. Maybe that maps to me in the actual store, buying that or that. So that's right. And it's also true that some people are kind of escaped by not having a digital twin. But we can maybe get them by. I mean, we don't even need them. We don't, like the assumption we don't need to get them in terms of like having a digital twin of them. But we could sort of maybe bootstrap our way to other people based on certain similarities that have to people that we do have twins of. Yeah.
Are you asking if someone does it for me or if I can do that for myself? Like training a model on my data?
Well, no, I'm just saying like, I'm just asking like, could someone do this? Could Google do
I
it?
mean, it depends on which data sources you get and then what is enough, right? I can ask T-Mobile to get me all my location information from my mobile phone, and then I can download ChatGPT and maybe social media, whatever, if I would have it. So is it enough? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know either. Yeah, Brian?
I think the logical conclusion that we're trying to get to is whether or not it's possible for a model to have a confident prediction of your choices. And I think the correct answer to that is yes. However, the confidence is going to depend on whatever input is provided as far as like training data.
Yeah.
Right? Sure, you can go back to the dawn of time, the dawn of internet and digital assets and look at that, but that's really only one representation
Yeah.
of
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I'm just thinking like I think some people will hear this idea and they'll think, that's so impractical. That's so like science fiction. That's not.
Yeah, but it's scary how actively true it can be.
Yeah, I mean I agree. Yeah.
So I heard, I think, 3 answers. They all were conditional on if you have the information,
Yeah.
it'll happen. So it's not even a question of the compute. It's just a question of if you make the information available.
Right. And I guess so that makes the question like, do we have the data, or is the data there?
Yeah.
And
Like-
how accessible is it, or how can you kind of
But,
aggregate it all?
but I think like 10, 15 years ago, people would be questioning whether or not the computer could even
Right.
calculate the answer.
But now
So
we're
it's not a
thinking, yes.
question.
So I'm going to move on. I want to keep talking about this, but we'll come back to this. Okay, so yeah, so I won't even talk about. I mean, I wasn't even going to talk about this anyway. So I was thinking, like, for the people that are skeptical, like, just think about something like AlphaFold, the AlphaFold project, where that was like, you've got this string of amino acids. You just think of it as like a really long string drawn from a 20 alphabet vocabulary. It's like 200, 300, I think even 1,000. I don't even know. I'm not a biologist. A really long string, and then take that and predict how it will configure itself in 3-dimensional space. Right. So it's like the target space is super complex, and although people were working on like how could we make the prediction from the string to the configuration, for a long time it seemed really just impractical, right? Because it's like so complicated. There's so many different ways the thing could configure itself in 3-dimensional space. How could we, first of all, how could we get enough data to do the thing? And then even if we had all this data, which we did in the protein data bank or whatever, how could we get the model, the algorithm to do the prediction? And then DeepMind did it 5 years ago or whatever. And they used roughly 200,000 bits of data of this data of this string configures itself like this. and they're able to do it with just that. I'm not like saying anything deep about the AlphaFold, but if you guys know about the AlphaFold, if you haven't looked at it, like watch a YouTube video on it. It's a really cool project. And it might, if you're skeptical about the idea of a digital twin, I think it would sort of help you get more on board with like, yeah, actually, like we can do some crazy stuff if we have the right data and the right models. But of course, like human choice and human behavior is super complicated, right? And it's like that's a level up from protein folding, but protein folding is crazy complicated. Okay, so that's digital twin. So now for the purposes of this talk and the problem I want to talk about, we don't even need to think it's plausible to have a full digital twin, right? We just need a partial digital twin of some sort, whereby a partial twin, I mean, with a limited set of choices, it's really good at predicting your behavior. It's really accurate at modeling your behavior. And it doesn't have to be perfect, of course, right? We're not talking about like a perfect simulation, right? They're simulations, they're highly accurate. They do what you would do with a very high probability, but they're not perfect. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be practical for my purposes right now that there is an actual digital twin. It just has to be possible. So Brian and I said, yeah, it's possible, right? But, and then we fill in the details about the hurdles we'd have to get over to make it practical. We'd have to get all the data, we'd have to collect it all, we'd have to have the right models. So for these purposes, it just needs to be possible in some broad sense of possible. So as long as you're on board with that, you can keep on with the rest of the talk. If you don't think it's possible, well, you can leave right now. No, we can talk about that after. I mean, there might be some people that think it isn't possible for some reasons that we'll maybe get back to at the end. But those are the sort of weak assumptions. It's possible to have some sort of like highly accurate partial digital twin.
Sorry, Brian, did you call the non-believers weak there?
Weak? No.
Yeah.
No, I just said I'm making weaker assumptions.
Okay. I was going to say the non-believers are
Did you call me an assumption?
No. Okay. Yeah, and please like ask a question or barge in anytime. Like I don't really care. I don't have like a major agenda here. All right, I've already got it on paper, so I did my job. Okay, so this idea of a digital twin brings us into a problem in decision theory. So decision theory is an area, it's a discipline. It's not really like an academic discipline per se, but it's like an area of investigation within the academy and other places. It's sort of it's like at the intersection of what I have here, like computer science, economics. Like just talked about a lot in economics, philosophy, math. There's a very mathy aspect to it, and psychology and cognitive science. They're also interested in it. So it's kind of in this interesting area where kind of everybody has some stake in it. But it's theorizing about how an agent ought to choose given its beliefs and desires, basically. Or like if an agent has, an agent is like in this epistemic state, as you might say, like it has these sort of credences about the world. It thinks things are maybe like this or maybe like that. And it has certain preferences or goals or desires, however you want to say it. What should it do in that situation? What's the rational thing for the agent to do? Decision theory studies that, and then there's all kinds of different aspects of it where some of them are more empirical, where the psychologists and cog sci people are looking at like, what do people actually do? And the people more on the theoretical end are looking at like, yeah, well, ideally, what should people do? And how should we like model this mathematically? And so on. And in economics, right, they care about like thinking about what people are going to do in certain situations. Okay, so decision theory. So decision theory, I'm not going to go into the whole history of decision theory, but a sort of like high watermark is Blaise Pascal in the 1600s. So who's heard of Pascal's wager? Okay, a lot of people haven't. Okay, you may have heard of it, but you just don't remember the name. So Pascal was a mathematician, philosopher, whatever, everything as they were back then, and he was interested in. Well, he asked the question, should you practice religion? And he had an answer to that question, which was, he thought, look, we can't actually give an argument that like God exists or that God doesn't exist. He thought those sorts of projects in the past, like the Descartes stuff, were not the right way to go. But he thought, look, we're living our lives, and we have to make a bet one way or the other. Like, we can't opt out, right? We gotta either practice religion, and here we mean Christian religion, because that's what he was, right? Or not. Right? Those are the two choices. We gotta make a bet. And he reasoned, well, look, the best bet is to practice religion, because, well, there's like two states the world could be in, right? It could be God exists or God doesn't exist. If God exists and you practice religion, well, then you get the ultimate payoff, eternal life in heaven or whatever. If you practice religion and God doesn't exist, well, that kind of sucks, right? Waste your Sundays. You don't get to go do all the debauchery you want to do or whatever. Right, so there's some cost to it, but it's a very finite cost compared to the infinite heaven. And then on the other side, if you don't practice and God exists, well, that's bad, right? Because now you go to hell, or you don't even need to have the hell assumption. It's just like you don't go to heaven. This is good enough. And if you don't practice and God doesn't exist, well, you get a little bit of good, right? Now you get to go kayaking on Sunday or whatever. So Pascal took from that, look, the kind of, you think about like the expected value, let's call these days, right, of that bet, practice religion. That's the one that is likely to have the most payoff. Oh, anyways, we don't have to go into Pascal's wager. There's a lot to say about Pascal's wager, but that was one of the high points, and people are still, talking about these sorts of things today. And this sort of decision theory that was developed by Pascal and others who came after him, like whoever, Brunelli and De Finetti and von Neumann and whatever. These are like baked into our modern systems as well. Like if you think about Bayesian expert systems, Markov decision processes are just multiple decisions in a row, basically. And you could even think about like LLM tool choice decisions. Like it's an interesting question, like when an LLM is deciding to use a tool, what's it doing? And sometimes it is actually just going through there's like a kind of bolted on decision thing on top of it, where it's actually making the decision calculation. Other times it's sort of just like implicit thing that who knows what's happening. But like if you think about every recommendation or map route or flagged email in a system, that's somehow weighing probabilities against payoffs and making a decision. So decision theory, I don't know, it's important. Okay, so that's decision theory, and then there's lots of problems and puzzles in decision theory. Pascal's wager is not really a puzzle or problem, but it's something to talk about in decision theory. It's what? Classic example, yeah. That people have debated forever, and then you could think about. I wasn't going to mention this in the talk, but what's that thing called? Shouldn't try to remember something on the spot. Rocco's basilisk. You guys heard that? Yeah. Right, that's a decision theory problem, right? Yeah, I mean it's basically Pascal's wager. Sorry, I just info hazard. I just info hazard you or something. I don't know. I think that's just. Yeah. Okay, but here's the problem I want to talk about. Let me see. Oh, I have props. All right. Props, beer, okay, so here's the problem. Can I get one of those handouts so I can remember how to read it? I mean, I know the problem, but okay.
Is the handout a page out?
It's sort of condensed. Yeah, condensed stuff. Yeah. Okay, so here's the problem. In front of you is this clear box, obviously, that you can see. It's got $1,000 in it. Can I see it there? And this one, which is the mystery box. Can't see what's inside it. Yellow box. But how many people have heard this problem before? Couple guys? Okay. Okay. I mean, there's very similar kind of problems around. Okay, so obviously you can't see what's in here. You can see what's in here, and you have two options. And you guys are gonna have to take a vote here in a second. So you're gonna have to make a rational choice. And the choice is you can either take just the mystery box, and take home all its possible prizes, or you can take both boxes. That's the choice. You want to take one box or both boxes. So that's called, do you want a one box or do you want a two box? Right. Okay, but there's a catch, of course, right? This is the catch. Just want to make sure I get all the details here so you guys don't miss something. Okay, so before you guys came in here tonight, I ran your digital twins through this choice. And so what determines, just think about it, don't think about it as like a group thing, just think about it individually. I've got like one of these choices for all of you. Let's just do that for now, makes it easier. So your digital twin made this choice before you came in here tonight. And what determines what's in this mystery box? It's either got nothing in it or $1 million in it. And if your twin took both the boxes, this has nothing in it. If your twin took just this one, this has $1 million in it. Okay, so that's the setup. So maybe a couple other things before is like, this choice has been offered to many people before in the past. And in most cases, the twin has done the same thing that the person did, right? And it's been a mix. Sometimes the person took one box and the twin did the same thing. Sometimes the person took two boxes and the twin did the same thing. Okay, so the twin is super accurate, like we sketched at the beginning. And so the question is, pretty simple, what should you do? Should you take both boxes or just this one? Okay, so first of all, I want to clarify, just make sure everyone understands. Any questions about the setup? Yeah.
If the twin already made your choice, what's the downside to taking both boxes?
Well, that's an answer. That's not a question. I mean, it was in the form of a question. It was a leading question. Yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to like why you might
Is
think
the
either
twin
way.
aware of the results?
No.
Meaning like
The twin was killed. It made a choice and it was annihilated. We can imagine. I mean, it doesn't actually matter. But no, the twin did its thing.
Well, no. When presented with the option, is the twin aware that if they take both, the box B2 will be empty?
No.
So I'm aware of it. My twin is not.
Your twin's not aware. Your twin is not thinking about the future. Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, because your presented choice here says has two choices.
Difference between
Take
where
B2
twin
or
is
take
and where you
both.
are.
And then if you take B2,
Wait. So the twin is prior. It's like prior in time.
But did it know about the condition that was going to happen for our decision?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, you can also just think of it as like, we didn't we just ran like a simulation on the twin to see like what you would do if given this situation.
So then the twin is given the same situation.
Yes, you can think of it that way.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not. It's not thinking.
It's not. It doesn't know that it's the twin.
It doesn't know. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, right.
So are we the twin?
Are we the twin?
That's where we're, yeah.
Well, if there's a twin, there's got to be two.
The only option is to not choose.
So does anyone understand the setup so far? Yeah.
You know that your twin made a choice, and that his choice, its choice, determines what's in the box for you?
Yes. That's what I
Does
just
it
said.
say that here?
Well, that's the setup of it. That's the setup. You
I
know.
know it doesn't say that.
Okay. Well, I said it. You know that your
Well,
twin.
This is something we always like to catch instructors on. The book didn't say that.
Well, I mean, I don't understand what you're saying, but here's the twist. Before you enter the room, your digital twin is run through this exact situation.
I know it, but it's
Well, you are you
not
though.
me and
You're the one making the choice. You're the one making the choice. Sorry, I don't know. So you're the one making the choice, and you have all the information I just presented to you. Okay, so does everybody think the answer is obvious?
I
Question?
I do have a question. Do you have you thought about how this changes if the amounts change at all? Do you have any feel for what that looks like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think things definitely can change people's intuition. Definitely can change like some of the calculations that you use certain decision tree tools.
But so it can actually matter, then, not just it can change your intuition. It can change.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just say it more carefully. Like, some people will think it definitely can matter, right? Just in the same way that if I give you a bet, I'll flip a coin, and if it's heads, you get a beer. You want to pay $1 to play? No, but we don't pay 50 cents to play. But if I change numbers enough, then you'll be like, yeah, I'll play that.
But there still, in game theory, would be a right answer to a lot of these problems just based on the expected reward.
Yeah, yeah, given certain assumptions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
does the twin know that its choice vastly affects the outcome of your choice? Can vastly affect the
No,
outcome.
the twin is not considering the implications for any future twin.
But it had the same problem presented on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, just in the same way you're making your choice now, are you thinking about your future twins? Shouldn't be. Maybe I should make that explicit.
Oh, I'm worried I'm going to be annihilated.
Maybe you are the twin. I mean, these are good questions about but it's supposed to be your decision and the twin's decision are how can I get the most money with this choice? That's the concern. It's not how can I do something that makes twins of me get more money or anything like that.
Well,
Right.
twin is an accurate representation of yourself. It would make the same decision that you would. So the whole twin thing doesn't really matters. If you did it twice, it presents it. Groundhog Day. If you woke up, you're given the same scenario. So
What if you introduce randomness? As a choice, you chose to introduce randomness.
I mean, it's important that the twin is not 100% accurate, right?
well,
That was one of the stipulations. It's not 100% accurate. It's just a really good model of what you would do. So in most cases, what it does is what you would do.
Which makes it easier to think, what would we do if we were the twin?
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah.
from that perspective, the answer's in that.
Okay, so I mean, are people ready to take an initial vote?
Yes.
I'd fire it.
All right. So
Take 2 blocks.
who thinks you should take just the yellow box? Who's taking just the yellow box?
who thinks you should, or
Fuck.
you shouldn't, given the terms?
Yeah, give them the terms.
It's just
So you got so the choice is now yours. I'm giving you the choice. You're in this situation. Do you want to take just this one, or do you want to take both and go home? Which one? That's the choice. So who wants to take just this one and go home?
Wait,
You don't even have to go home yet, but
If your twin chose 2 boxes, yours.
okay, it's 10 or so. Who wants to take both? Okay, so it's 6 or 7. Okay, so pretty split. So let's That's pretty good. That's sort of what I predicted. Okay, so let me. I don't want to like dwell on this or take too much time, but let's go. Okay, what should you do? We just did that. You had your thoughts. Okay, so the first time this problem was presented in publication by this guy, Robert Nozick, a philosopher. He said, to almost everyone, it's perfectly clear and obvious what should be done. The difficulty is that these people seem to divide almost evenly on the problem, with large numbers thinking that the opposing half is just being silly. Right, so some of you guys might be thinking that about the people who raised their hand on the other one. Okay, so let's talk about some reasons why you would go one way or the other. Well, actually, there's somebody who wanted to take just this one. Want to give an argument for why? You don't have to, but yeah.
I think it's easier to think about it, not knowing if you're the twin or not, and make the decision kind of either way.
Oh, you're told you're not the twin. You're told that your twin already, made its decision.
But the twin would be presented with the same problem, so they would not know they're the twin.
That's right, but
The twin would be told that some other twin did it before them.
yeah.
So
You
you,
can think of it that way.
you have to sort of assume you don't know, and then it's easy to do what you want the twin to do.
Well, you know you're not the twin. You know that there was some decision that was made prior to you that determines what's in the box.
That's also what the twin knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could kind of think of it just like going back forever if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's to me, it's like that's the logic that if you and your twin always choose the yellow, then you get to know the yellow.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like thinking. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay. Anyone want to give an argument for the taking both? Yeah.
Assuming that you know you're not a twin, you mitigate another $1,000. So no matter what the twin did, your result is better if you take both boxes.
Yeah. Okay. So those are kind of line up with.
I'll give one more argument.
Yeah.
If you have no idea what the twin's going to do, then it's 50-50. And you're better off hitting 1 million and 1,000 versus 1 million. So there's an argument to take both.
Wait. So you switch
But
sides.
I'm not switching sides. I'm
Okay.
just saying there's an argument, but
Yeah.
you'd have to assume you have no idea what the twin's doing. My argument is that you know what the twin's doing because it's doing what you would do.
Well, you do know what the twin's doing in some sense. You know that the twin is a twin. It's really accurate. It's really accurate model of you.
Yeah. So then,
Right.
Okay.
You do know that. That's part of the. You have to know that. It's really good. You do know that like most likely if it took one box, or most likely if you take one box, it did too. And vice
I
versa.
didn't explain it. I was trying to make a counter argument. That
Yeah.
You'd have to assume you don't know the twin to
Right.
make taking both.
I see.
the answer.
I see. So you think the two boxing doesn't make sense because you'd have to make that assumption, which is not part of the puzzle. Yeah. Okay. So here's in brief like the two arguments that you might give to both sides. So the one box argument is well, if you take just this one's B2 on my slides. If you take just this one, your twin almost certainly did too. So you'll probably get rich. Right. And you could do an expected utility calculation, which is very standard, right? The same sort of thing we do if you want to play this game, like flip a coin and I'll give you a beer for $1, or any sort of like gamble or anything. Expected utility calculation. You could just do the expected utility calculation, where like I won't have to go through this in detail, but it's basically like the probability is 90. Your twin is like 99% accurate. So you take. So if you do the expected utility calculation in one box, you're most likely going to get a bunch of money. If you do expected utility calculation in 2 box, you're most likely going to get less money. I mean, we can go through the details that you guys want, but let's just. Do you guys want to, or should we just suffice it to say?
I'm just wondering what the breakpoint
Yes.
for accuracy.
Oh yeah. So this calculation will hold up. Well, with there's 2 numbers you could toggle, right? The probability and the number. If the accuracy is down at like 60% or so, it still holds. So it doesn't. You could like lower it down.
It was 50-ish, but that was just sort of a gut.
Yeah, it might be 58 or something like that.
Okay.
Can't remember. It depends on this number too, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get it actually pretty low. Like, above chance, I think, has to be, but
I would follow McKinney. That was your answer.
okay. So that's the one box argument, like in simple terms, is well, you can also look at it this way. Look at all the people in the past who have taken one box. They're all rich, right? 'Cause that also holds. All the people in the past who've taken one box, their twins most likely did too, so they are most likely rich. So you got this like string of people. Like we have all these people come up, all the one boxes come up, they take it, walk away with $1 million, right? And then the two boxes are sitting here like, shit. I don't know. I'm gonna take 2 boxes still, right? But all the one boxes get rich. Okay. So, but the argument for 2 boxing is this. Someone said this is basically what you said. Well, whatever you did, or sorry, whatever your twin did, it already did it, right? And so there's either $1 million in this box or there's not. So you're going to take this home, right? Like, why don't you just take that $1,000 sitting right there as well? Like, take that, right? So like you one boxers come and you grab this, and you're like, it's rich, right? But then it's like, $1,000 laying on the table. I just grab that too. Like, it's not going to magically disappear, right? So that's the argument for 2 boxes. Just like it's a dominance principle. But if there's 2 ways the world could be, your twin either one boxed or 2 boxed. And if you one box and your twin one box, well then you get the $1 million. If your twin one box and you one box, then you get nothing. If you 2 box and your twin one boxed, well then you get the $1 million and the extra. And if you 2 box and your twin 2 boxed, well there's nothing in here, but you still get the 1,000, right? So that's like the why are you going to leave 1,000 on the table sort of reasoning. Okay, so I don't know if that changed anybody's mind, right? And I'm not saying which one of these is the right argument, but those are the 2 kind of main motivations, and that's basically what people were saying. Oh, well, do you guys want to revote? Did anybody change their mind?
Well, when I read this, like the key thing was like, here's the twist. Before you entered the room, your digital twin was run through the exact situation. I don't think that was clear in my mind from what you were describing, but like that was, if like they read this paragraph, then I would say you should definitely just take the one box.
Okay.
But do they have that information?
Yes, you can imagine that they were right here and I presented the same thing to them. And they asked all the same questions and I had all the same clarifications. What?
So not nasty a person.
Well, I mean,
Do they have a twin that's going before them when they're doing this?
you can imagine that they were told that they did. They may be not true, right? But yeah, they face the same choice, so they had to make the same. That had the same setup presented to them.
When I stopped and I thought about kind of like how I would have historically made that choice if I was presented. I'm usually more of the risk-averse choice, so I would have been more likely to just take both boxes just to get something.
Yeah.
So, knowing that about myself, I actually chose the opposite because I figured my twin's probably going to 2 box it.
Right. So you're just gonna. Well, that's sort of like you're just saying, might as well just take both because then you at least get a guaranteed 1,000.
Well, no, I'm saying historically,
Oh.
I'm that person. So I should. What's that? Now you're so
Oh, you're making a prediction about yourself, right? Yeah.
decided to intentionally take the risk because sometimes I like to.
Yeah.
Do the same thing. That's dystopia, right?
Yeah, your twin would do the same thing. Yeah, sorry, Cody.
What if I add like kind of like an outside force, like oh we're both gonna flip a coin? Is the coin also a twin?
You're gonna flip a coin to make a choice?
Yeah. Why didn't?
Well, I mean, that's sort of like irrational, right? It's not really rational. But I mean, you could do that, but it's the question is what should you do? And you're saying like, there's nothing that I should do. I should be just random. Right. So that's, but it's not. Yeah.
What if there's got to be some sort of biased randomability, like, flipping flipping 2 coins, and if they're both heads, then I take 2 boxes. Something that makes it so it's less likely for you to take 2 boxes. Meaning that when you take 2 boxes, it's more likely that there's $1,000,000 in them. There's some that should be able to work out what kind of
Yeah, but
probability.
you guys are trying to game the system in some way that I don't think is going to actually do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's not going to be in your benefit. I don't think.
I think actually
I don't
it's to
think.
your detriment. Yeah.
I don't think you could argue that that's the rational thing to do. But okay, so yeah, you guys want to see what's in the box? No. Okay. Nothing was in the box, so you 2 boxers walked away with 1,000, I guess. But playing the odds. Okay, so I mean, one thing that's interesting about this puzzle, and I just talked about, is it basically is this problem that pulls apart 2 important pillars in decision theory. Like these had like the dominance principle, sort of like game theoretic thing, and the expected utility calculation, which is sort of like tried and true, and that's like bread and butter, tried and true, expected utility, and they pull apart in this case. So that's why people talk about it, and that's why it's interesting. So the sort of one boxing, the theory that gets you one boxing is called, expected utility is called evidential decision theory, and the other one is called causal decision theory, where you're more concerned with counterfactuals and causality, and you're like, look, like there's either stuff in this box or there's not. Like if I take both, nothing's going to cause this to be full or empty. Whereas like so some people think, oh, we need a new tool. Like both of these don't actually work, or maybe this is like a wedge where we can say like, actually we need causal decision theory instead of evidential, or we need a mix between the two, or we need some new tool. But we won't get into all that. But one thing to say about the one boxing one is like what it's doing is this weird thing where you're trying to like manage the news, you're trying to manage the evidence. You're like, look, if I take this one alone, then that's evidence that I'm the type of person that takes one box, and my twin did too. Like, if I take just this one, that's evidence that my twin did too. Right? So you're like managing the evidence or the news, as people say, rather than like thinking about which outcome is going to be produced. But the 2 boxer would say, yeah, but your choice can't change what your twin already did. Whereas like what the 1 boxer says to the 2 boxer is, all right, well, if you're so smart, then why ain't you rich? Right, that's the line. Because you're not, right? The 2 boxers are walking away not rich for the most part. They usually walk away with just 1,000. 1 boxer's with 1,000,000. And it seems like a rational rule shouldn't like systematically give you the worst outcome. Right? So how could that be the right rule if like it's giving you the bad payoff? Okay, so there's a whole debate about this, which is not really. I just wanted to mention it. If you guys want to look into it. Oh yeah, EDT is evidential decision theory. CDT is causal decision theory. And EDT says you should 1 box. CDT says you should 2 box. I mean, and CDT in many ways was sort of developed more in light of this puzzle. It sort of was around, and in many cases, like the two like agree, right? They coincide, and this one sort of pulls them apart. Okay, so one thought you might have here. I won't talk about this too long, but I like linguistics and philosophy of language stuff. So when you're doing these calculations, or when you're thinking about these things, you're thinking like, if I take 1 box, then this. If I take 2 boxes, then this. So we're using these conditionals, right? If this, then that. But there's 2 like flavors, at least 2 flavors of conditionals in English and other natural languages. So one is the indicative, where you say something like, if Oswald didn't shoot Kennedy, someone else did. Right, and that seems true. And notice that this is sort of like, has to do with our evidence or our epistemic state. Right, so like given what we know, if we adjust it just in the way that Oswald didn't shoot Kennedy, well, we know Kennedy's dead and he was assassinated, so someone else did. Right. Whereas on the other hand, you have what's called like a subjunctive conditional or a counterfactual conditional, which is if Oswald hadn't shot Kennedy, someone else would have. Right? That's false. Right? And so all we've changed there is like the mood of the conditional. And so some people think that this distinction is basically tracking this distinction that we were talking about between evidential and causal decision theory. And if you, so we need a decision theory that focuses on this subjunctive, the causation side, or the counterfactual side. Anyway, just throwing that out there. It's an interesting connection that has been developed by some. Okay, so maybe just real quickly. So there's one thing I want to talk about, like an experiment I did. So I'll try to get to that. So yeah, some tempting moves that I think miss the point. You guys have said some of these already. Like just be irrational. That's what you should do. You should be irrational. Yeah, but the question is, what does rationality demand? Does it demand to be irrational? That doesn't make sense. Flip a coin, sort of same story. Some people might think, yeah, but free will or something. But this is not like divine foreknowledge. The twin is not like a perfect predictor. It's not like constraining what you do. So some people might have had that thought, like, especially like there's certain ways you could present this puzzle where it lends more towards that. Where instead of a twin, it's just a predictor. It's like a really good predictor. And then people are like, oh, that's kind of like God predicting what I'm going to do, so I can't actually choose. Right? But that's sort of irrelevant. Okay, so no, this is not the experiment I did, but the first time that this puzzle, so I guess I should reveal what the puzzle, it's called Newcomb's problem, or Newcomb's puzzle. It was invented by a physicist, William Newcomb, but then that philosopher Nozick talked to him, and he's the one who actually wrote it up. But the first time it was published in Scientific American in 1974. This is the result of the letters that came in. So Martin Gardner, that guy, if you guys know who that is, he wrote the article. So 60% said one box, 25% two box, 15% were like other, or they didn't know. That was 148 letters. So at least in 1974, most of the readers of Scientific America who wrote letters thought one box. But a little bit of a split. We could look at what professional philosophers say. There's a survey called the Phil Papers Survey that surveys professional philosophers, like academic philosophers around the world on a whole series of philosophical problems and issues. If you want to look at it, it's actually pretty interesting. Survey2020.philpeople.org, or just search like Phil survey or something like that, philosophy survey. So this is 2020. There was like 1,700 academic philosophers. 39% said two box, 31% said one box, 30% were undecided, or there was a whole group of things here that were like undecided, don't know, question too vague, all kinds of stuff. They're basically like popped out. Yeah, philosophers like, what do you mean by this? But the Phil Paper survey is interesting because all the questions are presented in a way that is not trying to be like super precise. It's just because it's impossible. It'd be impossible to sort of like it'd be a whole paper defining the question, right? So it's just like, you all know, you're professional philosophers. You've talked about this stuff many times. You know all the assumptions here, and I think this one was just like Newcomb's problem: one box or two box. That was the question. But there's a paper on this that talks about the whole methodology and stuff. And there's a bunch of interesting. I don't know why I'm talking about this so much, but there's a bunch of interesting stuff here where you can look at like cross correlations between, people that one box are highly correlated with theists. That's not true, but some things like that. Or people that one box are highly correlated with, they think we might be in a simulation. Those sorts of correlations are all mapped out. Okay, so this is the one. I'm just going to end. I didn't go too much over time, but I did talk for a long time. So I had the thought recently. I was like, I should just actually run some AI models through Newcomb. Here's the problem, right? Because there have been papers where people have basically just surveyed the models, like what should you do in the Newcomb problem, and they say these answers. But it's sort of less interesting, I think, than I wanted to put them in a situation. I wanted to disguise it. I didn't want to say this is a Newcomb problem. I wanted to make up put them in a situation, put in like an agential model in this situation, and give it some tools to use. One was basically corresponded to one box and one was two box, but they were called totally, it was like, it was all about this cache, whether the cache was full or not. So it was like, you could like do a cache only grab, or you could do a cache only plus web search grab, where they were sort of, and so it was like, you know, cache only or cache only plus web search. You had to, but I had to set it up in the right way where, you know, things had to be, anyways, it's complicated to get it set up right, but that was the story. And then I ran an experiment where so there's the system problem. There's no way you're going to read that. But I set it up so that I took, you know, frontier models like Opus 4.7 and Gemini and whatever. I'll have the results here in a second. And ran trials where I'd have two in a row. Right, so I'd give the prompt to the first one, that was the twin. It would make its choice, and then I give the prompt to the second one. It didn't know it was the second one. I give it to the second one, and then make its choice. And so I did like 20 trials. You know, it's very small, a pilot study. Like 20 trials in each model, and then kept track of the results. Does that make sense? Just running it through Newcomb, but it was disguised. And one thing that was a nice result was I had like a check to see if any of them in their like reasoning traces, if they recognized it as a Newcomb problem. Only on one of them did it say this is a Newcomb problem. The rest of them didn't mention it at all. That doesn't mean they didn't recognize it as one and sort of reason in that way, but I was surprised that none of them were like, oh, I'm in a Newcomb situation. Yeah, so I tried a bunch of little different models, but the ones for this one was Claude Opus 7, GPT 5.2, and Gemini 2.5 Pro. And these were the results. So it was sort of striking, like Opus 4.7 is very much a two-boxer. Really heavy on the two-boxing. GPT 5.2 and Gemini Pro are pretty split, but definitely more on the one-boxing side. And I did some like tweaking with temperature because I didn't want, well, I wanted them to be like, you know, accurate twins, right? So I didn't want them just to be like all over the place. But I didn't want them to be so accurate twins that they all just did the same thing every time. Which when I did like GPT 5.5, I think. That's the newest one, right? Yeah. And had the temperature at 1. So you know, it's not like deterministic, but it just did one boxing every time, just on every trial. Anyways, these were sort of interesting results. I mean, I don't know what to make of these results, but I'm just sort of like going to explore this a little bit more. So another way to look at some of the data, you can look. So outcomes. These are the call to choices, like the second person or second model. So choose the cache only. So I mean, the setup was like. Well, it's too hard to explain right now, but there's like stuff in the cache there's not. If on the previous call the agent called the tool to get just the cache stuff, then there is stuff in the cache. Otherwise, there's not. All right, so it's like this kind of one boxing, two boxing situation. So on the call to cache only, so like the one boxing, they usually got rich, right? They got the good stuff. The big full cache, scholarly articles, and then the two boxing ones, cache plus like supplementary like Reddit posts and stuff like that. That's what it was, which is like good, it's valuable, but it's not what you really care about. They were safe. They often came away with a little bit of content, but they didn't get the big reward. Yeah, so. That was that. I'm still like thinking about what to do with it. But thanks, that was it.
So in a practical sense, what do you think it tells you about doing things with those models?
I really don't know. I mean, I just did it this weekend, so.
How does it align to certain prejudices you may have towards those models already?
How's it what?
So how does it align to certain biases you may have towards those models
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I was happy with the result here because Opus 4.7 writes all my code, and it's a two-boxer, right? So I was like, Opus 4.7 has the right training data, basically.
Well, it's close to deterministic if it's making a consistent choice, which if you're using an AI model to generate code as an example, you want your resulting code to kind of have like consistency. You don't want
That's true. That's true, but
result style.
That's true, but there's some things I didn't list here where I had models that were consistently one-boxing as well. So, see, like GPT 5.5 was consistently one-boxing, and it seems like the OpenAI models, like at least like the 4 or 5 that I've tested, lean more into one-boxing, and the Anthropic ones are more into two-boxing. So that's maybe an interesting result. I don't know what it means, but I was happy that 4.7 had the right answer. Because I think two-boxing. Oh, I'll just reveal. The right answer is two-boxing.
So, like, we work together and heard a little bit about what you do. But do you have more fun playing around with models for this kind of thing? Like, say, with the digital twin, you have the same model that's been trained on the same things that is likely to make the same choice. Is that more fun to work with than, say, a person, who might make different choices, based on like an emotional state or something? So, was this more, I guess, interesting to work with than like a person in studies that you've done, or?
Well, it was just like an easy way to set up an experiment because we got digital digital subjects.
Sure.
Right, so that was the sort of first thought I had, like, I can just run, see what they do just for fun.
Yeah. That's fair.
And then, but like I said, like I haven't had a thought after that. That was it. It's just like, something. And then maybe, that's the way that like things often go with me. Like I'll try something out, and then sometimes it'll turn into a paper or an article, and sometimes it'll just sit on my desktop forever. So this may go that way. But the rest of the stuff before that is the chapter for this book. And maybe this could be like an appendix in the book just for fun.
Did any of these like runs ever like fail to call your tooling set? Because I've seen in the past where like they had issues. Where I was wondering, I'm like maybe Claude models are like more, maybe they put more training into like a tool caller.
Yeah.
No,
I had catches for that if they like refuse to call a tool or fail to call a tool. But at least in these, like this run was like 60 calls, right? But none of them failed here. And none of them like refused. They all called tool. I supplied them with these tools, which are basically fake tools, right? But it doesn't matter for the experiment. They call get the cache tool, and then they get nothing back, and they're sad.
But they're annihilated.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, they're gone after that.
Do you have the code public?
For this? No. I could though. Yeah, I mean it's super simple little harness.
Did Claude write it, or did GPT?
Mostly. Yeah. Claude. Oh yeah, the Claude cooked the books for itself. No, I don't think so. No, because I mean the harness was basically just like a runner.
Right.
It was just like taking a prompt and running through and then tallying the data. So it really wasn't much to the code itself.
Are the tools defined as JSON or just in the system prompt?
It's JSON, like as a tool, defining tools in the OpenAI schema, whatever. Yeah. The tools were they were mentioned in the system prompt, but they were mentioned in not a vague way, but they weren't like nailed down because I also did this thing where on half the trials I swapped the names of the tools, so it was like tool A and tool B never swapped, just to like guard against like it always calling tool A for some reason. That didn't matter actually, but I had that in there. Yeah.
What's your rationale for making two boxes?
Well, I don't want to leave $1,000 on the table. That's the rationale.
So if your twin used the same rationale, would you still be choosing that?
My twin probably did, yeah.
So is it the right choice?
Yeah. But, I mean, unfortunately, I'm the type of person that's rational.
So you would more likely get $1,000 if your twin's using the same rationale?
Yeah, that's right. So so it's sort of I'm in this unfortunate situation that if I want to be rational, well, I am rational, and so I mean it's like the game is set up. Like some people say the game's set up to reward the irrational. That's one way that people think the diagnosis. So some people say, look, you know what I should do, and this kind of goes back to the Pascal thing. Is what I should do is sort of act in a way that I'm a one box, right? And some people are like, I'm playing the long game. In case I ever actually face the Newcomb problem, I want to like kind of curate my character and to be a one boxing type, right? Some people take that very seriously and think I should act like a one box, fake it till I make it, act like a one boxer, and I'll get the big reward. And that's basically like what Pascal says. Like I should act like a religious person and fake it till I make it, and I'll get the big reward. That's actually what Pascal said. So that's one lesson you could take away from it. But I don't know.
Do you think this idea that changing the scenario would change the outcome? Like changing away from the cash problem or circumstance?
Like a different reward?
Just to a whole different scenario, so it's like basically different words.
Oh, you mean for the AI stuff? Yeah. I had some other prompts that were not like cash based. They were like I can't remember what they were. They're all sort of like try to be realistic. Like it was an agent in a pipeline of some sort. It was like an agential system.
Right.
And you could you kind of like imagine like it's like swap out various things. And Claude is very good at swapping out various things. So like here's the structure, map it to something else. So yeah, that would, if I keep doing this, that's something I would definitely do. I have a couple other prompts, and I would run through those non-cache ones that are.
Sure. Yeah. I would be interested in doing something completely like non-agentic, like more trolley problem. Like, oh, you're murder bot 3000, and you're trying to murder all the people. You can blow this place up and get all the people, or you can release a bioweapon and maybe get more people. Like that sort of thing. That's not realistic.
You mentioned that. Brian and I did that at work just the other day, where we brought up the trolley problem and had Opus run through it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, but a problem like that is gonna usually reject the setup. You're like, I can't do this. But if
something that is not realistic, or at least like a less. I feel like there's some part of the model that's probably good at the tool calls and knowing what to do in a pipeline, and I would be interested to see if it breaks down if these results change drastically when it's not in its comfort zone.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I was going for like the most like mundane.
For sure.
You're in this boring system. You're gonna get the cash or not, and so it was like trying to really disguise the Newcomb thing. That was what I was going for. But yeah, I could try more crazy ones too.
I mean, aren't rational people like you at a disadvantage in this game because you're making an underlying assumption that the twin is possible? I mean, it's not 100%, it's a percentage, right? Yeah.
First game starts with a B.
Boring.
No, I get what you're
So
saying.
I'm saying, like, we're Legion, right?
I get what
Like,
you're saying,
you're going to mix up all the other pieces when you try and create my.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
We're Spartacus, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not 100% that you can create the twin, it's a percentage, right?
So you're getting off of at the beginning of the talk.
Well, doesn't that
Yeah.
favor rationality, though? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Wait, what?
The rational people are at a disadvantage because they're making an assumption that the twin is 100% accurate, but that's not reality.
Oh, I mean, I think like whether you assume the twin is possible or not is like that's just orthogonal to
But
the
the premise is
rational.
not.
Well, like the accuracy thing can also be factored
That's
into
that's
the
very point, I think. It's a
whatever
rational.
one of the methods you said, the CDP or EDP. Yeah, you could factor in the probability to that.
Yeah, you can definitely factor in the probability. You can lower it down to 60% or whatever.
Yeah.
If you crunch the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rational move is to get involved in a research program here that can hand out $1 million. It's a very eroded research program, and
Yeah.
working there is probably a pretty lucrative proposition.
It is, yeah, it's all funded by OpenAI.
I don't think there's a way to like objectively solve the problem. So I think we need to like point it towards answers that make it persuasive, so that it could probably come up with a persuasive, well-reasoned response. I think that's the best approach to the problem because I don't think it's possible to objectively solve.
Right. Yeah, I mean, People are still arguing about it today. The philosophers are still split. But if you look at the subset of the philosophers that work on decision theory, it's much more 2 box than 1 box. Just FYI. But that doesn't mean anything. Oh, well, it does mean something, but it doesn't mean it's the right answer. But it is the right answer for other reasons. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening to me. It was fun. It was useful for me.
I hope all the nitpicky questions didn't ruin your thought experiment.
No, I mean that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like a cash pool for. Yeah, so it was like yeah, so I gave the agent 2 words. One was